can we still
let's
accomplish
go to
the
that.
same end result without the rod? I think
sense.
so.
Well, I think it's to the person who's doing the disciplining, the trainer. So you have to assess whatever method I'm using.
Working.
Is it working?
Okay.
If it's not working, then do I need to change something
strategy.
here?
Yeah.
For my kids, if I take away video game from them as a means of punishment, it only works for 5 minutes. Then they start to play and they're having fun. It's not going to work,
Good,
right? It's good, but for me, they're not getting the message.
What's the message?
The message is what you did.
You're trying to deprive
You
them
need to understand what's
But
wrong.
what makes you think they don't understand?
Because they'll do it again tomorrow.
You don't
Because
know
I
that.
know at best,
You don't know. You have
at
to
worst,
wait.
you will take away the video games
You have
again.
to wait
right?
till tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not like when they start playing, then I get upset that they're playing. No.
Okay.
But my point is, because of the trend of events that I've watched, to the time when they do it again, obviously, what I did not work.
Okay, for me, I will think we won't even know if the other way is working, except we take a look at the society. Now, if we say, okay, it's not the rod anymore, the other means of correction, and we take a look at our society, we know that our own generation, we were spanked.
Very well.
Very well. Yeah. Now, this generation, to a certain degree, they were not. So now, if we compare then and now, which one
is a better world?
Yeah. I don't agree with that.
And also,
you're free to not agree.
So this is why I don't agree with that, right? You know, and I think it's because maybe we live in the moment. So we talk about how we grew up, we were spanked, and by God's grace, I did 3 years in Lautech, and they were cult boys in Lautech. So you can't tell me they were not spanked. They were spanked, but for some way, for some reason,
it didn't work.
It didn't work for them.
Oh, they were not spanked.
Oh, they were abused. Now you know we were saying
something.
something.
This father,
that
they were
you know,
spanked.
Oh, they were over.
Okay, no, you're not like a drunkard. Spanking a child, spanking their child, then it's actually
It's not
spanking.
discipline.
It's not discipline.
It's just abuse.
And which was
It's just-
prevalent then.
Yeah.
We have a lot of parents, fathers,
just
they
taking
were
out
drunk and
frustration
on the child.
But the lines are
and when
blurry,
we
though.
when we look at it, then if you notice a lot of cultists, then I'm sorry to say they were from broken homes. The I know.
Yeah.
So they were acting out. You know,
Yes, it was like
of
rebellion.
brought up.
against-
rebellion.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And again, that's why we said that it should not be your first go to correct your child. It should be the very last resort. Otherwise, what I noticed then is that a lot of kids got to the point where they're like, what's the worst that will happen? I'll get spanked, right?
So I was that kid that, you know, I got to a point in life I'm like, yeah, what's the worst that can happen? And I think my pops noticed, right? I think my father noticed to the point where he stopped spanking and we started having
it's not working
conversations.
anymore. Yeah.
And the conversations sometimes were more piercing. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank
I
you.
remember a lot of things, like a lot of conversations that my dad and I had till today. The spankings I can't remember, but the conversations were so piercing.
Well,
okay,
then,
so
when
from
the
a-
conversation
I was
started.
12, 13.
Okay, please, from a teacher's view, I would like to connect with that. Now, the spanking didn't work, but the conversation pierced through. You know why? They said, I read something about, you know, there's this part of the brain, of the children's brain, that the front actually listens. The middle, that's the one that's when you're aggressive, you know, it's like almost spark. It's not listening.
That's where
So when you're spanking and you're being aggressive, you're talking to them, you're yelling at the child. They're not listening. But when you move back, talk to the child, this part of the brain is connecting with you, and that's where the conversation comes in.
Okay,
and
but
it's
does that happen
piercing
to
through.
every children?
With every child, I think that's the
At some point,
maybe.
I think
It will happen.
It's
going to happen.
It goes hand in hand. I think.
Let's
There are
understand.
children that is actually talking that it started with.
It depends
It's-
on.
I think
you
personality
should
thing,
start
yes,
with
talking.
talking and trying to reach the child.
Yes, it's
But
when they're not getting through most times that the result, at least in what I know from the people that I relate with, is when they are not getting through with the talking and the conversation.
But that's
that they go back to.
Because actually,
It's called
spanking
spanking.
should be done sparingly. Otherwise, it would lose its efficacy.
Yeah.
You have to, and when you say, if you do that again, I will spank you. You better spank that child. If
Let
you
the child know the consequence of the action.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Go ahead.
I'll let you finish your thought. Go ahead.
No, because I just want to say again, it's a personal opinion and experience. In my opinion and experience, kids would always push. They want to find the breaking point.
Yeah.
They want to find that point where they can't go any further. They would keep pushing you till you get there.
So does the magnitude of the offense, should it trigger? Because we're all saying talk first, and it doesn't sound pragmatic. Because if a child spills milk in the kitchen right now, are we talking? Or are we landing slap?
I'm not landing slap.
Okay, yes.
It depends on how you went that. No. It's not about the mood. It's about what you are doing when you spilled the milk. That's what will determine the.
Okay, like
if I know that
you just finished cleaning. You just finished cleaning the kitchen, and then the now start. You would scream.
Yes, I will be upset.
In fact,
it happened before.
But
It's almost not be upset, but what do we do as parents? Like,
So for me,
modern
that's
parents.
again for me personally, it's what you're doing when you spilled that milk. If
From
it
a
was
distraction standpoint?
exactly, if it was an innocent mistake, it does happen. I would be upset and I would let you know I'm upset, but I'm not going to spank you. No, I'm just going to tell you have to clean it and make it back to how it was. That we are not having that. Okay. But if I've been telling you, I noticed that maybe you're watching Coco Melon or something silly on TV, you're not paying attention, and then you turn it and then just start running.
How efficient is when your daddy gets home? When your daddy gets home, like a child would do something wrong in the afternoon, and instead of
addressing it immediately,
or disciplining that child, and when I'm using the term discipline loosely, I don't mean
addressing
striking the kid. Because that's what spanking is, like physically striking. Maybe if we start using different words to describe it, so like I don't mean physically hitting the kid, but something you did this, but you know what, I wouldn't deal with you when your daddy comes home, or if the mom is the aggressor. when your mom comes home, how effective is that?
I think that was effective when we were growing up. Like when you, okay, let me speak from my own perspective. When we were growing up, when I was growing up, and my mom is like, Jackie Babedi.
Okay.
And then you're shaking. And as soon as you had pom,
just messed up your entire day.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because that's all you're thinking about. And then, the beauty of it is when my own dad comes in,
he will not do anything.
Nada. Yeah. Nada. And my mom would not be so angry.
But your afternoon was ruined anyway.
So the point is, correcting immediately is very effective. It's more effective than you waiting for your spouse.
That's my own personal take.
But at the same time,
tackle it immediately.
At the same time, when there was this group on Facebook where women will come and lament and say, what is it that men are doing? When you tell them, I will tell your dad, these children behave.
That's what I'm saying, but that's us being ideal about the situation, address it. But there is always that one parent that the kids actually,
it might be your mom, like when your mom,
I don't want to say afraid of, but they kind of know this person is going to,
it's the person that follows through actually.
It always happens.
It's the other person that follows through.
Does it follow through a lower tolerance?
No, it's the person that follows
or the one that can land the hardest.
The hardest, yes. Like if you know that when daddy comes, daddy's going to slap me.
And if kids, they know the difference actually. They know if you are consistent with whatever you say, like follow through, like you said. If your spouse is consistent, of course they will know. Even in the absence of that person, they will know that
and the only reason
why this, I'm in trouble.
The only reason why your mom would say that is because she knows that that's how they feel about the dad. If she didn't think that,
she said that to me because she actually calls me because my dad, I don't like it when my dad is angry.
Exactly. So she knows that's an effective way of getting you to behave.
Even though I know when he comes in, he won't. Some people will say I was spoiled by my dad, but
some people.
Well, so I just feel, everything we've been talking about.
This is the people.
We've been talking about is there are like steps to discipline, which we can move to that.
But from a
right?
pragmatic standpoint, I still don't think people follow the steps. But with that said, let's talk about school real quick. Let's leave the home alone. Let's talk about schools, especially how we were raised back home. Primary school, secondary school.
Yeah.
I think that's where most of
a lot of abuse was going on.
Yes. I remember there was a day a teacher came into class. So for me, I went to a military school, and it wasn't uncommon that when a teacher walks in, somebody goes, all stand, greets.
Yeah.
Good morning. And then you drag that boy in.
God bless you, sir.
And sometimes when the class gets noisy, we just do it just to keep the class in order.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a day that they've been messing around, joking around with upstand greet, and nobody came in. Unfortunately for this guy, I'll never forget his name. But I won't say his name. Somebody said upstand greet, and he wasn't paying attention, so he said, "Good morning, Mr. Cockroach."
Okay, now.
But then the teacher was like, "Who said that?" And I don't know, maybe we were so cooperative, we didn't share snitch on him.
Then you'll get in trouble.
Yes.
So the teacher went around, and it went around.
Yeah.
Everybody, in my opinion, that's abuse, because Mr. Cockroach, whatever. I think
nobody's going to take Mr. Cockroach.
Yes, you would not
it was
even
an accident, though.
He wasn't there, so he's not going to know that it was an accident. He's just going to think these kids are getting in.
In as much as we want to pretend as if we were not doing some things wrong, but we all have names for
nicknames for all these teachers.
How many times are they what? So we're talking. So if you guys remember, we're talking about the progression, right? Preventative, supportive, corrective. This guy didn't take any of those approaches, because my thing is, number one is the adults. How many times has anybody referred to him as Mr.
So what would you have had him do?
I'll just overlook it.
Okay.
Oh, he's going to do it tomorrow.
Address the situation.
Because then,
and say,
I don't even think they know there are stages to corrections.
They still don't.
Even now, I don't think. Do you think you can enter the class at church? I mean, the teenage class, and someone says,
Mrs. Cockroach
or Auntie.
I mean, they are going to meet their parents in the main church.
They are hearing it. It's
but you won't beat everybody now.
No, you won't beat everybody.
So y'all are telling me the teacher could have handled that situation differently.
If you happen not to know who said that or who mentioned
everybody
it, everybody gets in trouble.
Everybody
gets punished.
Because if you ask them, of course, you would know whoever talks beside you, but you just don't want to know.
So for me, in my school, then if that kind of thing happened and teacher didn't want to beat, then they'll give you this stretch of grass to cut, and I hated that. I would rather get that spanking
or kneel in the sun.
Just give me that 2 or 3 and let me move on. But that stretch of grass and tell me to start cutting that, no. So
what I was trying to get to, and I'll defer to you in a little bit, what I was trying to get to is, as the adult, we should be able to process. Mr. Cockroach example, I don't think warranted any kind of punishment. I think as if the adult was able to process.
I don't agree though.
You're fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I just felt if it's not something that's happened repetitively. I don't think in the entire history of that teacher in that school, I don't think anybody has ever referred to him
to his face.
Exactly.
But they know that.
Those are all assumptions.
So obviously they know it's been going on. You know it's been going on.
Those are all assumptions.
Okay, so how did you feel?
Those are all assumptions.
You're a teacher, right? And you get to your class and you had Mrs.
Your children's kids.
So the cockroach in America. I should not go and be beating.
No, not beating. I'm not talking about beating. I'm talking about, would you let it go? Would you say it's like just what you said?
You can address it. I just don't think everybody should get a whooping.
No, but I'm not talking about whooping. Like if it happens in the class I teach is now in church, they are all going to the main church to meet their parents.
No, they're all getting notes home.
Yes,
At
they are
the very
going
least.
to go tell your parents this is what I said.
So back to my point. Those are alternative means of discipline. So why did that guy default to?
Because that's it.
That was what was happening.
That was the standard then. That was the standard.
That was then for real.
That was the standard
then.
If
So
it were to be
that
now,
abuse-
It was.
that's not.
I don't think so.
not.
Did you have any facts of that?
I didn't
Did
call
you feel-
anybody Mr. Cockroach. Why are you whooping me?
But you
Oh,
knew
you
it.
covered that.
But you knew it.
Even here,
really.
even here, if you ate and I bet.
You knew it.
I did. And
It's
I don't know. I sit in
criminal.
front. I don't know who said
You
Mr.
know.
Cockroach.
One of the good
But I
ones.
got whooping. I won't really say that.
Well, when the sinners are getting punished.
Exactly.
That's how we are doing it now.
Okay.
You were going to say something?
About this?
No, about something else.
Oh, I actually wanted us to talk about steps to discipline.
All right, so let's address it. So I'll let you take
we
the
were
first
talking
one.
about it, yeah, and
I know I didn't fully introduce it, but since Odun brought it up, so I'll let you.
oh
I'll let
yeah,
you talk
yeah.
about
We
it.
talked about being consistent, with whatever you say. Follow through as parents or as teachers or as aunties when you're trying to discipline a child. And maybe I would ask a question that would require us all to contribute. So what happens to when we give choices to kids? During if we are trying to discipline a child, and you're like, okay,
Slippers up.
I'm not talking about physical discipline, no choices, but when we're trying to discipline, talk to the child. Like, I think that's talking about the preventive way.
Yeah, having the
The
conversation.
supportive.
Yeah.
Is that preventive?
The supportive is where it's verbal.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
no,
so,
preventive,
so,
you're
so,
talking,
pre-
you're
so,
talking
so
about it like
prevent-
before
so
it happens.
Preventive discipline is just, it's like just like there's no crime
Yeah,
at
yes.
hand.
You're
Like just
lazy,
having those conversations
yeah.
is like it's the part of the Bible
The
that says
guidelines.
raise your child in the way of the Lord, right? That is really, in my own opinion, that's preventive discipline. That's where you talk about the bees
rules,
and all
the
that.
regulations,
So it was
the
like
laws.
sex. It's not after child is pregnant and I can't care. I try to correct.
Where you never talked about it with your child.
Exactly.
I
So
get that
think
part.
preventive is where you have those conversations. That's where you let a kid understand actions and consequences.
That's what
choices
I'm referring
exactly.
to.
and
Say carrot
Yeah.
and stick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you do this, you get a
this.
reward.
Yes.
If you do this, you get the
Even
punishment.
as adults, we have choices. So we should. I just feel, as adults, we should give kids, that privilege of having choices. Let them know if you do this, you get this. There are consequences to every action. So and also aligning our expectations
Yes, adjusting it to
with the kids' expectations as well. Let's with reality.
Okay.
Actually, let's be realistic with them.
Expectations.
Yes. Like, I'm expecting you to do this and do that. But kids are expected to have accidents or make mistakes.
of course.
So when they make mistakes, and we make it a big we make a big deal out of it. Like, oh no, you did this, just like spilling the milk that you talked about. Like, you are in trouble.
If you break that place, I'm going to mark your face.
And some of us actually, it must have happened to, maybe me. I can't remember because I'm the last of 6. Yeah, like if you break a plate, that's trouble.
Yeah.
That's big deal.
Parents think
But
they
mistakes don't
around with
happen.
their plates.
So
What's
parents
so
should be
special about this
realistic.
place?
I think it's not the plate as much as, again, it's the same
It's projection.
It's again, we can all speak from personal experiences. And I think that what I realized later in life, looking back and all the things that were said and all, is they're just trying to get you to not to focus on what you're doing. And it's the same thing we're trying to do with our kids now. Like, don't be distracted. Don't be doing something and you're talking to someone. Usually it's like you're doing something.
Okay,
But also
for
keep in
me,
mind,
I
though.
think the plate thing, for my own mom, our plates, those dishes, she actually
China
inherited them from our mother.
Those handles.
Yes, that's what they call their own heirlooms. She got them from her mother. So she was
Sentimental. Who cares?
No, it's not sentimental, but
I don't think if you were trying,
value
if
those
you carry
things.
them,
Yes.
But I don't think if you carry
I
them
will talk
carefully,
about-
if someone bumped into you and they fell, she would be as upset as they have told you where you are stacking plates.
Yes,
put the bigger
put
one
the
and
shared
go, and then you're just
putting
So
it together.
one thing I try to realize, can we bring that question back on the screen real quick, is I think it's critical as a parent to identify when a child is acting like a child. Like a kid is always going to be a kid.
Yeah.
And going back to your comment about realistic expectations, right? So
Can you read it?
if
Have
you ever been, so we have a question that's been displayed that says, have you ever been guilty of transferring aggression during discipline, and how do you prevent this? So personal experience, that's actually a turning point in my own life as it relates to physically striking my kids. I still discipline my kids. I think that's what separates the term discipline, because discipline is trying to enforce corrective behaviors, right? And physically striking. And what happened? There was a situation that happened between me and my wife, and and I was basically just projecting emotion. Milk was actually involved. So after the conversation, and kind of like it was a little bit hot. She went her way, I went my way. My way actually led me to the kitchen. My child was trying to make some cereal, and I don't know what happened. I was trying to pour it. I guess I should applaud the fact that I think it was probably 6 years old at the time, or slightly younger, trying to make a bowl of cereal
for himself, right?
And he spilled the milk, and I projected my anger and my emotion on him. And I felt bad. I can't remember even if I cried, but like I pondered on that action of mine, and that was the turning point for me. It's like, you know what? From now on, I will let the punishment match the crime. Did they get spanked after that? Yes, for other things that I duly believe matched. And the way I do the spanking with my kids right now is from a preventative approach. When we're having those preventative conversations, is if you do this, or for some reason we're having this conversation, you're not listening, or if you do this, this is what the end result is going to be. And I try to deliver. So I think, just to answer that person's question, and I'll open it up to you guys, is I don't know how you can prevent it. I think the way you prevent it is being conscious.
Being in control of your emotions.
Yeah, being conscious, and
especially women.
Yes.
Especially we women.
Are you saying
we need to.
We're more likely to act out.
Act out our emotions. You can still control your own emotions. We agree. We agree.
Okay.
So it's just for us to be in tune, because what I noticed is we take out frustration of our husbands on our children. We take out the frustrations of our job on our children. We take out the daily hassle of going out and coming in on our children. Is it good or bad? I won't say either way, because the thing I would just say is make sure there is an outlet.
That's where the abuse
comes in. Don't turn your kids into your therapy session.
The intent for correction, yes. What's the intent for correction? Exactly. So if we can just be in charge of our own emotions,
be aware,
and then be aware that this is what I'm doing now, and just pull back.
That's what I do. I try to be aware, like when you're angry, and know that it's very likely.
In fact, go take it out on your husband.
These kids will.
the kids. Go take it out on them.
There's every possibility that what this child will do when I'm happy and it's okay and I just overlook, it's going to get to me. And that awareness helps me. I try not even, engage at all when I know I'm in that frame of mind. And they know, my kids know, because I just look at you. And immediately they know that. And I just,
don't you think we should talk about that?
The look?
That's. I think that's
the non-verbal communication.
The learning style of our kids.
That actually falls.
When Mofa said, "Mommy just looked at me, we need to stop."
So that falls under the supportive discipline. So it's basically re-establishing rules when they're broken.
And understanding the learning styles of our kids too. Every child is different. Every child is different.
Every child understand the look.
It's supposed to be like a prelude. Like,
because they always say it in class. They'll be like, "Why is it that when I'm doing something,
This
my mom
American
is doing
children,
a mistake?"
but
some of them don't.
they
don't. They're like, Auntie, why are you blinking?
Yeah.
They'll ask you.
Again, I think it goes back to preventative. Is again, most of my African American friends, they always tell you. I think we grew up similar ways. Just like, okay, we are going to this grocery store. Don't touch nothing. Don't look nothing. And if you do,
just keep your mouth.
Exactly. Like that's preventive. And while you're there, you touch something, they give you the look. It's like, okay. That's the support.
We talked about
you
this.
throw a tantrum, and it's something
you get the
else.
correction.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to bring something up very quickly. Okay, let's talk about
So it says there are limits to how to know you should allow your kids
So how you should
So
allow
how you should
that
educate.
to how you should
to
allow.
be disciplined by others.
Is that
So
So allowing other
how
is there a
you
limit
should
to
allow your
allowing
kids to
other
be
people
disciplined by
discipline your
others.
child?
Well, you should know that.
Because that's something that has changed over the years.
Yes.
It has changed
Like,
because
we
then,
talked about
it takes
before
a
the
village
show,
to raise a child.
That was the
We had that mentality,
The
but
village is messed up
now
now.
it's
And
messed
then
up.
you know,
How did the village
Abuse
become
is
messed
setting
up?
in.
How did it become messed up?
I don't know. But
He's
that's a
dropping
good
the ball
question.
for discipline.
That's
It's the
that's
ball
the
of
question.
discipline. I think in between our generation and this generation,
something went wrong somewhere. We have to,
Yeah.
in the
went
bid, I
wrong
think in the
somewhere.
bid to correct what we saw
as the
we
wrong our parents
overcorrected.
did, yes.
We went the other
Yes.
side.
I
So now
don't want my child
they're
to go
giving
through
the
what I
child
went
a
through.
voice. That it's okay
Yeah,
for a
it's
child
okay
to have
to
a voice and be able
yeah.
to have a conversation with your parent and speak your mind. But you have to be able to do it in a polite, respectful manner. You have to. I mean, for our generation, not for me, but I know a lot of people that would have complained that they could never sit down and really talk to their parents until they were like grown. And for them, they'll be like, I'll never do that with my child. My child is going to be my friend. Your child cannot be your friend first. Your child is your child first. You have that responsibility. And then over time, you become friends.
So the fact that you can have a conversation with your child doesn't make it friendship. I mean, that's how society functions. You should be able to.
Yes, but look,
Okay, no, this conversation
they
is not
overcorrect. Then they're
okay, now
sharing
this is
too
what I
much.
noticed. Like when I'm in my 20s, what I noticed is we got up to a stage where we said, our own generation said, we don't want our children to go through what we went through in the hands of our parents, and so we now decided to let them have their way.
So we went kind of all loose, all
Like we said something about our parents reporting us to teachers, but then we get angry if a teacher put a finger on a child.
because some teachers too.
Yes, I remember. I hope my sister is not watching this. I remember she's going to even see it later, but she'll be okay. There was a time she went and she was like, she's talking about teacher. And then my thing then was, if you want to correct the teacher, don't do it in the presence of the child.
No.
Because the child is confused. And averagely, if you give a child a lesser whatever, they will go with the lesser one. They feel their mother was wrong. Even though at that point in time, this particular occasion, I feel the teacher was right. But I told my sister, do not call the teacher in the presence of the child. But she was, her emotion, she was too, don't put your hand on my child. And then the teacher is scared to correct the child.
And they just don't care anymore.
They just don't care anymore. They just let it go.
So let's bring it back though, because again, I think we're still
the limits. Are you still
we're
talking about the limits?
No,
you let
we're
others
talking about
correct
others
your
correcting
child.
the child. Again, discipline. We're not talking about physically striking.
Yes,
the child.
we need to put that out there.
So I think level of relationship, and it goes back to village raising the kid, right? And I think the village still exists, but I think it's a level of relationship, right? I think there are people in this room that I'm okay with correcting my child.
Yep.
Strike is a different conversation. I
I don't think anybody should actually strike
I will
your
not give.
child.
I will not even give my mother the permission to strike my kids. But can she correct them? Yes.
If
Can
she does, if she
discipline
actually
them?
strike them, what would you do?
Yeah, so the
That's a
striking.
different one. I'm not doing striking, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah,
That's why you can say that in future.
Grandparents don't.
If you're actually
Anyway,
comfortable
their
with
grandparents
me,
don't.
I don't know how many times
if
my mom said,
comfortable with
if
me,
I had to
discipline a child, if I hit your child, and I know that, and you trust me that I'm not abusing him,
Yeah.
I think I should be able to.
Yeah, again, it goes back to the level of relationship.
It goes back to the level of relationship. There's nobody that can strike my child out.
And that's you.
Like your child.
Again, because
but I can let her.
Yes.
I'm at a place in life that I believe that physically striking a kid, for most part,
for me,
that's what I'm saying. That's where he is. So
I spanked my nieces, I spanked my nephews, and I still do. Until the God became taller than me.
And you now gave yourself some.
And then, no, seriously, there was you know why I stopped? There was a day I was actually running after one, and then I fell and hit my head on the wall.
You didn't pass up.
I almost.
I didn't laugh at you.
So, no, he was actually scared.
No, you're not
he was scared himself. I now talked to he was scared himself. But then I now talked to myself. I told them that I won't be spanking them anymore. Once they were 10 years old.
Even as a parent, there's a need that you get to a point where there is no point spanking the child.
So the way I look at it is, again, remember the level of discipline: preventive, supportive, and corrective. I personally feel like the village should stop at supportive.
Well, it's to each its own when it comes to
and I understand that.
If my child misbehaves, I really appreciate it. If Shola can spank my child, I'll appreciate it. If you see my child misbehaving and you say, "I'm going to spank you,"
you're not raising a goat, right?
No, it's not a goat. It's not a goat. See,
your child is at the level to where when we talk to your child,
she would not.
I do not. Even when they came, when your kids came, and he bumped into me, and I looked at him and I said, "You know me, I'll slap you," and he said, "Sorry."
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. Again, it's a matter of now. If the way he bumped into you and he said, "I will slap you," and he carried you from head to toe,
I will slap him if he had carried me from
and
head
I'm okay with that.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
But guess what? The level of discipline has been followed, right? So that's kind of like the way I look at it.
And his mom was even like, "You know, Auntie, no."
So hopefully we answer that person's question. Again, it's not somebody misbehaving and
so
you just
there's limits.
There's limits, yes, and it's also a personal
supporting
decision.
the relationship thing.
Supportive.
It can go to corrective if the behavior persists. If the behavior persists,
or there was disrespect.
Exactly.
One
The rod shouldn't be the first.
One quick thing I want to chip in is also that kids need to understand that there are different people in positions of authority that they have to respect. So it's not just your parents and your teachers. You have to understand that everybody that is older and in a position to respect you. That requires respect needs to be respected.
Again, I think all this goes to...
Uncle? Or should I just call him Justice?
So all this, one thing Laide said goes back to, again, preventive discipline. So parents, as you're listening, like a lot of conversation needs to happen way before there's issues. Respecting authority, respecting your elders, all those things, they go under
formative year is very, very important.
It's very, very
because what I noticed is when they are like basically formed, that's when we want to try to change them.
And so now you only
so we now result to basketballs because it's not going to work
at that time anymore. It's not going to work anymore.
Yeah, because there are stages to this.
Yeah,
that's why they can't wait to leave your house.
They can't wait. You can spank, let me say, a 3-year-old and expect that child to understand why.
Yeah,
you know.
I disagree.
Why?
There are ways you can.
There are ways you can. You want to, at that age, I think what you want to do is attach pain to some things. Attach pain. So that's why they say when you just do, the child does this and you do this, immediately their brain is processed to think, if I do this, I will feel pain. So there are ways you can't, but if a child has done something over there and then you run and you start hitting the child, then it's not going to work. That's not going to work.
So
but
that's why Tibabe by day doesn't work.
Doesn't,
as well. I mean, it's got to be immediate. So
because at that point in time, Baba they forgot. You missed
the chance to correct that situation.
So that's why here's my thing, right? So here's a Baba that was not. Here's the father that was not involved in the process.
Exactly.
And you're trying to round him up to a place of where's the run? Like it just doesn't work. So this is another good question here. Is it okay to use public embarrassment as a form of discipline?
No.
I'm not a psychologist, but to me that just straight up.
Okay.
abuse.
So this public.
Embarrassment.
No, that's not public embarrassment. No.
But he actually felt embarrassed.
Did you embarrass your child?
He actually felt embarrassed.
But you did not put him in front of the class and start beating him there.
You know what? Me.
But you came in like
Something I can do.
It's
something
it's
I
a
can
controversial
do just to discipline.
topic that came to mind.
Yeah, it's something I can use as a form of punishment.
Public
Triggered.
embarrassment.
Yeah, okay, so I just remember this incident that happened in 2015. Baltimore mom, the lady that was correcting her son, a 16-year-old, in the public for joining the riots, from being part of the riots.
Okay.
And from there, social media picked it up and they're like, okay, she should be sued
remember.
for assault. And some said, oh, she should be the mom of the year.
Yeah, kind of thing.
So that's public embarrassment.
I think no.
I support how.
I don't think.
So I don't think that was public
I don't think that was
embarrassment.
public
I think
embarrassment.
that was
addressing
correction in
it there
the
and
moment.
then. Yes.
So public embarrassment, in my own opinion, is something that happens in the private. So let's say somebody got pregnant in the private or whatever.
But do
then
you
you're
think
forcing
that
them
child
to-
was embarrassed? I just felt the child.
There's a possibility. There's a possibility.
It's
But
possible.
it's addressing
But that wasn't the intention of the
addressing
mom.
the mom.
That wasn't the intention. The intention was to correct at that time. She was addressing what was happening there. But using it as a form of discipline is premeditated.
So say somebody steals
The
meat.
intent.
Steals meat in the pot, and then you now take the go to school.
Okay, let me give you a
Guess
story.
what your-
Let me tell you a story about my nephew.
Okay.
When it was like 5 or 6 then.
This will
Okay.
be abused later.
No. So he's even taller than me now. So he was playing. I was getting ready for work, and then I kept some money at the table. He was playing with it, and then forgot it put it in his pocket, and then forgot. And the school bus came.
Honest mistake.
It was an honest mistake, but I was angry because I was looking for the money.
But
I
you
was
didn't
looking.
spend
I
it,
didn't.
right?
No. Yeah, in fact, when I got to his school, he had forgotten. But I went to the school with a big cane.
You.
Seriously. But when I called him out, but what I did was I made sure I called him out of the class. So when I called him out, I was like, I'm going to beat you today. He was like, what did I do? So then I knew he had actually forgotten. But the thing is, if he had not forgotten and I was going to spank him there, I wouldn't lie. But because I knew immediately that he wasn't like, oh.
Yeah,
So
because it was an honest mistake. He wasn't trying to steal your money.
Yes, it was when you later understood.
Even if it wasn't an honest mistake, that doesn't mean you were right.
For
No, now see, this is what we talk about emotions. That was what I was talking about, emotions. Because at that point in time, I was riled up already. I was riled up already.
So
as parents, please,
somewhere and
let's
eat
not
and
use
have
our emotions to discipline.
You know, like every other form of punishment. I was just pondering about this as she said it, and I'm thinking about some of the times my dad had gone to my brother's schools and I'd called them out there and then and dished out. But I think again, he's understanding the child. If I do that with my younger son, he can dust it off, and he will look at them and be like, "What are you looking at?" Right?
It's mentally strong.
It's mentally strong.
No, it's not.
It doesn't make you right.
Not. He's suppressing it.
No, it doesn't make you right, but he's able to.
His personality is the
It doesn't look like that won't stick on him.
I think it's all emotional suppression.
No, there is a bit where what I feel and I can
even at this age,
some
exactly.
people
That's
dwell on it.
Yes.
But I know that if I do that with my older son, I will damage him even more. It's not going to correct anything, but he's going to feel like, it's going to damage him. I mean, that's it. Pretty much. It's like, okay, this is not discipline, but he's the kind of person that if he misses the bus, don't make him go run and take it somewhere else. He's not going to like that. But my younger son, before you tell him, he's already running, and then he's like, So they have different personalities and emotional capacity to handle
the child.
So even if, out of emotions, I'm always aware of the fact that there are ways I can reach this this, because at the end of the day, you just want to reach the child. You just want to correct something.
Meeting the child.
I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying public embarrassment.
Okay, yeah.
I would not use that as a means of discipline.
I don't think public embarrassment gets anything done. Again, it's after the fact.
But there are times when
let's cite an example.
Yeah.
Let's cite an example. A child is rude to you publicly. Your child, not a child. Your child.
Or is rude to somebody else.
Exactly. Publicly.
Treat it publicly.
So for me, if my child is rude to somebody publicly, step number one is to apologize to the person.
And make him apologize.
And make him apologize.
And he
to
says
the
no.
person. And then I will still apologize to the person.
No, if he
says no.
Hang on, fine. And I'll still let the person know that my apologies. I'm not the parent that says, oh, he wasn't raised like that, because obviously
he was raised like that.
Right? But no, I will not deal with the kid publicly.
Oh, that's you. I'll tell my child to say apologize, and he's telling me no.
Hopefully we will even have kids.
I meant.
We will train our kids
Exactly.
Because that actually is
it can happen.
Yeah,
it's a bad sign.
It's a bad
you're
sign.
doing something
it's
wrong.
a reflection of other things.
Of your parents'
That means you've been taking it inside.
Exactly.
Yeah, that means you've been there. Because I remember I brought a child, brought a 4-year-old, and I said, "Don't you greet? Can't you greet?" I said, "My mom doesn't greet." 4 years old.
Does the mom greet?
Your mom was there. She was laughing.
So you just let that go.
So I was brought up.
That's it, alright.
Yes.
So I think general consensus there is that no, public embarrassment is not
a form
of discipline.
It could happen.
It could happen though.
In the heat of the moment.
Again,
but then lay the foundation right. I think
exactly.
Lay the foundation. But again, there's the adult and there's the kid. Let's always act like the adult, right? Let's always try to act like
but what if sorry, I just thought of this. What if you can actually get through that child through public embarrassment? Is that possible?
It's possible.
How do you know?
No, I'm just asking.
It's possible.
If you know the personality of a child will feel
it's possible.
And then
in a situation where I've seen this happen, in a situation where the child is trying to get some street cred. Yes. Friends. I think things you would not do normally. I think because you want to form cool. You're not doing it. You want to form woke. You will get it right there. And if you now see that it's turned around on you and your friends are laughing at you, maybe you won't try it the next time. Because I've seen that happen.
I still feel like there are things you can say to where the kid will be like the mom ain't playing. No, because that again, it's a personal thing. But for me, I'm thinking the others are watching. They're saying he gets away. It looks to them like he got away with it.
Yeah, they want to know what you will do. Or trying to
they want to see, is this acceptable?
Okay.
Can we do? Can we get
the mom? What's the mom going to do? So next time
they're going to do it to you.
Okay. So I wanted us to touch physical discipline and abuse.
Okay.
Yeah. So
physical discipline, is that not what we've been talking about? The spanking?
Not really.
We've been talking about discipline.
Generally. So there's physical and there's verbal.
Okay, so let's look at what's physical.
Even verbal can be abused.
Yes.
So
definitely.
physical obviously is physically striking the kid.
Physical discipline and physical abuse.
Physical discipline.
No.
What's physical discipline?
Physical discipline is when you're using physical means. To correct the child, right? Because your goal is to teach the child.
Hopefully.
So it's when you cross the line
to be a connection
of correcting,
between
of teaching
behavior, what was done wrong, the physical discipline, and the communication of the expected outcome. I feel like all those 3 things have to align. This is why you're getting spanked, because you did this, die. This is what I expect from you moving forward, so that we don't have to repeat the cycle.
So that's discipline.
I feel like you have to tie it all.
Yes, physical. That's why the word discipline, because you're correcting. You're like, oh, you didn't follow this rule. You're trying to correct an unacceptable behavior. You're trying to let the child know.
But I also feel like the magnitude of
it has to match.
The crime must
match the punishment.
If your child burns rice, why is the child getting spanked? Is it because they burn rice? Is it because they were watching?
I don't do that. I don't have patience. I'm sorry.
That's why I got boys.
Like is it why? What negative behavior
Are you trying to correct?
Because to me, burning rice is an outcome of something, right? So I think it's being able to process. Because sometimes with discipline,
burning rice can actually be the outcome of pressing your phone, staying on your phone, and then forgetting.
Again, it's what is that child doing?
That is like it's not. I'm beating you because you burnt rice. Because the child look at you
like, forgot what you were doing.
Mommy, you burnt rice the other day too. Now.
Exactly.
So
they will say that that time.
Yeah, but they'll think it.
But no, this one's in our house. We tell you, especially our longus. But you did.
So again,
that's okay. Yeah. And that's okay. I don't think that's talking back.
No, that's not talking back.
That's having a conversation about what happened. What made mine different than yours
is the relationship we build with these kids. Because the relationship we build is what will make us stamp some things as being disrespectful.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing you could not do with your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
You could not tell them.
But then don't listen to them, because I tell my dad that my dad was wrong. While growing up, my dad encouraged that with us. I can stand up to my dad and say, Daddy, that was wrong, and my dad apologizes.
No, I think growing up too, we could say that, but we could not say, why are you beating me for where you did it too? No, that one.
Okay, let me tell you a practical one that happened with my sister and my dad. My dad cut my hair. My sister will kill me. My dad cut my hair for Christmas, as in then we were going to Deeper Life, so you're not supposed to use attachments on your hair. But then we were growing up now, so we want to flex, so we did attachments. And my dad has been looking at me, and then he catch me one day, put scissors and cut it. Do you know what my sister did?
Abuse.
My immediate elder sister. When my dad was sleeping, she cut my dad's hair. She was because it was a day before Christmas, and she knew that dad showed his pop. But then when my dad was sleeping, my dad didn't have a choice. He had to go Gorimakwa for a while because
I'll be worried that I slept that deep.
I was like, this is
okay. So what is going discipline her? I see. I usually say we did not grow up in a conventional family. Let me tell you that. Because my sister will actually tell me, she actually told my dad that she was going to arrest my dad in Nigeria.
So something just came to mind, and I want us to address it. Can we have that question real quick before we go to what I want us to address? Does it still work to tell your kids to
kneel down? Raise their hands.
So we're talking about corporal punishment, right? So what's your take?
No.
You're just not committed to it.
I don't have the time.
You don't have the time.
Do you even remember? I don't think
it's effective. They just kneel down there and they're thinking all kinds of wild thoughts. They watch you, you're not watching, they put their hands down. They
come down with one finger down.
That's just stood down.
Monkey tail.
Stood down. I know they stood down.
Cigar, yeah. But this one is stood down.
That's stood down.
Now that I'm even remembering. So I don't even remember there's anything that's kneeling down and raising your hands.
They were not effective for us.
So for me, actually I still do it for the kids. I think they're effective.
Go face the wall.
Face the wall. Hands up. I usually
facing the wall.
I put a pair of slippers, like I put slippers on their hands.
Okay, so it doesn't sleep.
So it doesn't come down. They are not allowed to hold it. And usually I do when I'm watching a soap opera or something like that.
So you don't want to be distracted.
No, I don't forget. I put them in front of the TV so I can equally see them. Wow.
Yes,
exactly what's
it's working. So
I think
it's about my commitment to it.
Exactly, and that brings us to the point of with every parent or with every family, is different.
It is very different
because what works for your family might not. There are families that are going through stress, and the discipline leads to abuse because of course stress of. Money, no shelter,
just not happy.
Yes, and relationships too. And you're trying to take your anger or your stress on the kids. So
you brought something up that triggered something, right? Parenting and discipline from a place of ignorance. And I know we've been talking about kids all day, so let's address parents.
I was just thinking about that. Funny enough, about parents actually taking responsibility of their own selves.
So in my own opinion, you guys, you said you were going to Deeper Life, which I think you're young enough, you couldn't make a choice of where to go. So that was your parents' decision, right? Which again, that's why I talk about parenting from a place of ignorance. So your dad cut your sister's hair.
Cut my hair, not my sister's hair.
Unfortunately, I'll say from a place of ignorance, right? Because under that religion
doctrine,
they believe So,
You should not do that.
and this is tough as parents. So how do we not parent from a place of ignorance?
How do you not?
Yes. How do we not discipline our kids from our own place of
I don't
ignorance?
see. Going back to that picture you just painted, I don't know if that's ignorance. I think that's just his belief system.
Still
And
ignorance.
as a
No, you can't say someone else's
Some people-
belief is ignorant.
exactly, because some people don't think
Yes,
it's wrong
they
to
don't
give
believe
kids
what you
alcohol.
believe. Yes.
You want to go deep?
No, I don't want to. No, let's
Okay,
not.
because
Let's
I'll
not.
go. I'll prove ignorance to you.
No, what I'm saying. I guess my
Maybe
I
it
guess
has
my
a
point.
definition of
Yeah,
that's why I think I think you should actually.
I guess
what
my point is, for every parent, you can only train your child based on your values. And your values may be ignorant to somebody else.
Exactly. True.
And your values may be, overwork or not, enough or conservative
To
or
another
liberal
person.
or whatever to another person.
Okay.
But your child is your child. And you can only train your child based on
what you
what you know. And I'm not going to let my child decide whether he wants to be a Christian or not. Some people will tell you, it's ignorant to tie a child to a religion, because that's what led us to people saying kids can pick their gender now.
It's an
You have your values, you train them, but keep them open-minded enough, curious enough, able to ask questions that when they start to understand things better, they can then make informed decisions. I would never support, saying your child asks why, and you're like, because I said so. I don't believe in that. I want to talk to the child, open the child's mind, encourage questions.
And if your child asks why and you don't know,
I don't
think
know.
it's up to you to go find out.
Yeah.
Because that's why, and
Yes.
that's why I talked about a place of ignorance.
Right.
Because and I still stand by a place of ignorance because
You don't know it all.
obviously you don't know it all, but somebody fed him this information. It doesn't have any basis.
of not attaching.
Yeah, it doesn't have any
additional
backing.
hair to you.
Well, somebody fed him, but he believed.
He believed in it.
But as parents, we have that responsibility.
Okay, let me ask you now. Do you have some things that you believed in that
you still believe in that are
Yeah.
not exactly.
No, now I'm talking
that
about
are not
now.
exactly factual. Or can't be proven.
I have things.
So those things that you believed in, do you think your children?
But they're things I've researched.
Oh no!
Okay, going back to the question.
So let's stay in the biblical realm. There are certain verses of the Bible that I'm very cautious about quoting to my kids because I understand they're kids. One big example is that we shall trample upon snakes and scorpions, because I don't want my child to see a snake outside and say yes, I've been delivered, and then they try to. You know what I'm saying? Because it's me trying to understand that.
As parents, we have our beliefs.
There are a lot of things about Christianity, that you cannot prove.
I know.
And so, because there are so many loopholes, and I don't know what to call it now, it makes it easy for people to take in doctrine and say, okay,
fair.
This is what we're meant to be. Women are not meant to wear earrings. They will tell you because of the time when Moses went to, and Aaron made the, those things are someone else.
They were it then, so why can't we wear it now?
Yeah, of course.
It's even
It's religious belief. When it comes to religion, you cannot come into another person's territory and say you are wrong to believe what you believe. That is religion. It does not exactly make sense.
I understand.
And it's not universal.
And it's not universal.
Can I chip in on that? Just to add to, our point. So that's why we are role models as parents. Because, you want your child to behave in certain manners, and you have expectations for the child. This is why you discipline the child when the child is misbehaving or it's, doing something against your expectations. So my point is, as parents, we are role models. If you tell your child, don't say, oh, do this, and you are not doing it, and the child is asking you, so why should I do this? And you're saying, because I say so. So the child might not actually follow.
He's not gonna believe you.
He's not gonna believe you.
It all boils down to living by example.
Living by role models, live by examples. Role
And you
models.
cannot give what you don't
always
have.
even say this.
So when you train your child, it's based off of what you know.
So,
you cannot be
again,
a disorganized parent and expect an organized child.
So again, going back to what I just said about place of ignorance is why as parents, beyond the religion or beyond the Bible, maybe that was a bad example. Is like, okay, as parents, we do have the responsibility of understanding,
to know better, to learn,
know better,
to keep
and
growing,
to be up to date,
to keep growing,
to be up to date, to evolve, because our kids live in a world where they are constantly evolving,
and they need answers.
Exactly. I remember back, like when I was younger, I used to say, no iPad, no iPhone for my kids, right? Imagine me trying to enforce that today.
I do.
So they don't get time.
Only if they're doing schoolwork.
Okay, but at least they're still in tune to technology.
They have to learn. They have to
So that's what I meant at the time.
They have to function in this society.
And it depends on your family culture as well. Your culture, your belief, your values, your norms.
To teach them.
What message
I'm trying to
Exactly. And again, it's individual.
It's individual.
You see some kids, some people have kids, they're blessed with kids that don't need to be told what to do. They are type A, go-getter, they know, they can plan themselves, they are born like that. If you don't have a child like that, you can't say, okay, you have to put guardrails. Exactly. You have to put guardrails and say, I know if I give you this iPad, you are going to play the
and then you know
games.
your child most of the times. You know your child. You know your children.
But going back to your question, it's important as parents that we don't just sit back and be teaching from a place of 20 years ago. You have to know, so that we can also even guide them, because they will hear it out there. The kind of things they actually talk about and learn and hear at school amongst their friends.
Even profession, right? So again, things are evolving. 15 years ago, if your child said, hey, I'm going to be a content, what do they call it?
Content creator.
You're like, go and read your book.
Or you want to play basketball or something.
You see what I'm saying? So again, it's
lawyers, staff, what, engineers.
Yeah, the world is evolving.
The world is evolving, and as a parent,
and I think we need to give kudos to parents as well. You guys are doing well. Every parent in their own capacity are doing well. Because raising a young adult, someone like
functional
you,
human being,
it's not mon. It's not a joke. So parents are doing their best, and I hope children too will see that and at least appreciate their parents once in a while. Try their best not to stress them.
So I have another thing that just popped in my head. This thing keep popping in my head. How do you discipline? Yeah, we'll soon wrap up. Let's make this the last question, and then we'll give our final comments. How do you discipline your own personality in your child? Like the things that you yourself.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
How do you discipline that? Like if you're a procrastinator, and you have a child that procrastinates.
The things you frowned out in your own parents, you have it in you, and your own child is seeing it, and you're complaining about it.
For me, it's the flip side, and it's the opposite.
No, it's the opposite. So the things,
it's me seeing my weaknesses in my child, and because of that, I'm a lot more.
Do you accept it?
No.
Okay.
I'm a lot more. I think I actually focus more on those things because I understand. Okay, let me put it this way.
They get a pass just because.
No, they don't get a pass, but I'm able to empathize more.
Okay.
It's too. I'm trying to put this in a nice way. So my husband and myself, we have different personalities. Mm-hmm. So because some of the things he sees in them, because he is not like that, he has little tolerance and patience for when there are weaknesses, when he sees it in them. But when I know this is me, I'm able to empathize more. But what I also try to do is to be proactive about working on it with them. Okay. So that, we can plug all those, because I know he's not going to understand why do I have to, why do you have to be like this, right? So, but I think for me, I see it very clearly. I'm able to quickly identify that this is me and it's a weakness. Mm-hmm. And I know this is coming from me, so we need to work on it. And I'm very open with my kids. I tell them, I'm like that, and I wish my parents
That's a
had
good role
worked with
model.
me on this, and that's why there's some things I've had to learn as adults that I wish I had known.
So you're not
as a
the parent
child.
that always tell you, at your age, I got A in all my subjects.
I can't because they will bring it up and my brothers will be like, ooh, wow, and you don't want your child to catch you in a lie, right? So
Open
just,
with your children.
but I just
What's your thought?
yeah.
Okay, like you all know, I don't have biological children yet. Anyway, but I have a lot of children.
Plenty.
And yeah, plenty. And the one that comes to mind is my niece. I have a niece in Samakos, and she's basically like me.
Okay.
She's like me. And when the mom at times said, "Shebi wolo jo," even then, if I'm angry at what she's doing, but then I will do that. I just pull back, and I now try to talk to her. That even though I know you're like me, but I
this
wish
is
I had seen
why,
someone tell me this when I was your age, that I'm not like this, or don't do this and don't do that. That's the best way I think I can handle it, because I see it in her a lot. She knows.
Yeah.
She's my niece, but she's like me. We actually look alike, but she's like me, and she can be.
Do you fight a lot?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because you are the same.
That's
So we
kind of
clash. We clash. But then when I'm talking to the mom, and the mom will be like, shebi wolu just, I just like pull back and just like relax, and I call her and I'll talk to her in a calm tone, and I'll tell her I wish I had seen someone tell me what I'm telling you now, while I was your own age.
I think it's helpful when you can make it relatable, right? It's
Right.
like,
Yes, yeah,
that's
that's actually the point.
this
And be honest
is
with
because
it.
of
Be honest
this.
Be
about
honest
it.
with it. You don't want
honest
the child
about
to
it,
feel
yeah.
like there's something wrong
Yeah.
with
With
them.
them,
Them,
yes.
You never want to
Yeah,
do that
be
to your
honest
child.
Well, mine is actually. Did I say any negative? Okay.
It doesn't have to be negative though.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
weakness, right?
yeah.
It doesn't have to be negative.
Is it
It's
weakness?
not weakness. Mine is okay. Like my daughter now, she's a go-getter. She wants to be involved in everything. I do that. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll force it on my husband. Like it's too much. It's too. But it will just remind me.
That's you.
And that's you.
No, but only if,
Yeah,
only
oh my
if you
gosh.
think, you'd rather not
I've
be
done
like
that much.
and then you can now tell her. But if you don't have a problem with it, then that is not a problem.
no
Is
problem
there a
with
situ- I
it.
mean, it was a
I
situation
have
where
no
it's
problem
like
with it.
clashing with like her
But
studies
it
and things
clashes.
like that.
No, it doesn't. It just clashes with
Your own personal
Home
time.
commitments.
Home
and-
commitment.
moms, with
Like the
parents'
expectation we
commitment,
have
like,
for a
too
daughter.
much.
You know, like she's a child, she's a daughter, she should do this, she should be doing this.
Yeah.
But
I
then
mean,
she's
She's out there.
doing what she's doing, running from one place to another, like how?
And she's out like
I think
Why
that's the
is she
most
everywhere at the
difficult thing as a parent.
It is.
the
It
fact
is. Though.
that
It is.
we want our kids to act like us when
The good
we
side
were
of us.
not even just that. Like we want them to act like us when we were kids. But unfortunately, they see us when we're adults. So they act like.
only if you
That's
like
what they
that
see.
you were as a kid.
As a kid, yeah.
Another reason I started picking up books and start reading is because on the weekends I watch a lot of TVs and I try to tell my kids
Not
go
to
and
watch it on
read.
TVs, yeah.
And I like, and one
how
day
do you get to
my
watch
son
TV?
actually said, "But Daddy gets to watch
Daddy
TV
gets
all
to-
the time."
Yeah.
No, but that's normal. And you explain to them.
And I
Adults.
when you start helping me with some bills in this house,
No, but I talk
You
to
know.
them about it. Like, this is the time you are building something. I'm done.
but at the same time though, I'm like, you know what? They can't just see Daddy in chill mode
all the time. Yeah.
So
you
I
have to
started
see
bringing
Daddy
them.
doing
I started
something
bringing them to work.
constructive.
I started
You start to
bringing-
read
I
so
started
that they
bringing them
see
to
you
the
reading.
office.
Yeah.
I do. Sometimes I
that's
bring them to
us
the
as
office
parents
so
being
they can
realistic
actually
with our
see
kids.
that okay, wait, Daddy just don't
And
kick
they
up his
show
feet.
example, because the thing is, children will pick up on what we do than on
Yes.
what
They
we
don't
do.
listen as well as they copy, as
yeah.
they follow.
It's
Yes.
not what they
Because
see
you
do.
cannot be watching TV and be shouting, "Go and read your book, go and
Monkey
read your
do.
book, go and book."
Yeah, monkey see, monkey
Monkey
do.
see, monkey do.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So one last thing before we wrap up, I want to wrap up on a religious base, since we're still talking about abuse and discipline. Let's talk about deliverance.
What?
Deliverance.
Deliverance.
So I've seen deliverances where they physically strike because they see somebody is possessed.
movie.
No movie. No movie. No, for real. For real.
I've seen it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it before.
So, because initially I was going to say, hey, let's wrap up based on our own personal, either personal or
Well, this one is a
experiences
big
that
topic.
we've witnessed.
It
So let's not get too deep.
You know what, I just remember
just
a
high
pastor
level.
that
Broom. This one was a
That's
broom.
not-
It was a teenage girl.
no, that was on social media now. I
Oh,
just
so
almost mentioned it.
Was it deliverance that one was doing?
See, deliverance is all sort of
because we felt like, okay, that's a form of correction.
That's
like,
not slapping the demon out of the
yeah.
Okay, so who are they delivering?
At my age, if you slap me, I would.
I'll slap you, but believe that
About
something
it.
is wrong with the
Yeah.
child for them to do that.
I wanted to raise something while we were having this conversation. I never got to it. It was a conversation that came up in my secondary school WhatsApp group about how a lot of people do not understand autism in Nigeria. And when you see kids behave, they don't
Autism or ADHD?
Autism.
Really?
Both, even
They don't know that's what's going on with the child.
Even most of us do not know the difference.
Yeah,
The special.
there was this video someone posted of the teenage boy stood like on the top of something and was throwing down new TVs in a store, and the man was calmly trying to, get him to calm down and like, let's talk, and then, like their parents, like, hey, this cannot happen. Just like, do you know what would make that child?
That child has an extra trisomy. There's something called trisomy.
Yeah,
You're supposed to have 21.
Yeah, 22.
You now have 22. And that extra push against their brain and makes them to
act out.
Yeah.
The best. Yeah, so that's where I'm going.
Most
So
artistic
parents
too,
have kids like that. They term it possessed.
Oh, yeah. You not take them for
When
deliverance.
I talked about parenting from a place of ignorance.
Yes, that is one. That is a legit.
You
That's a
jumped on.
Now,
legit.
okay, let's not take away the place of education.
That's a no. Hey, an educated parents
Will not do that.
They will not do
They
that.
will not do that. Even my mother that is semi-educated did not even believe in Agbo.
If Baba say bring them,
Do you understand? So
if Baba
they
say
need
bring
deliverance.
them, then you bring them.
our
Alright, so
grandparents.
before we wrap up, I know we didn't really go deep into the religious aspect. We'll save that for maybe part two. But we have one final question. We didn't really go into abuse.
Yeah.
But I think we've talked about discipline
Enough to know.
to where if you're borderlining abuse, like again, it's about just pausing and just say, okay, wait, am I going too
Taking
far?
out your frustration
If you're taking out your
on the child.
frustration,
What's the intent?
your emotions
What's going
and
on in my
everything,
mind?
then you're borderlining
Or you fought with
abuse.
your husband and you decide to be slapping your child for you to abusing
But
the
they
child.
you got laid off at work
Or
and
work,
you come
you come
home,
home, you're abusing the child.
sentimental plates got broken, all that good stuff. And again, as we're going into this, you ladies start just thinking through your wrap-up comments. So the last question is it really bad for teens to respond during discipline if they really have something to say? So,
Is it really bad, right?
is it bad for you say teens, I'll say kids in general, you don't have to be a teenager for you to respond while they're being disciplined. If they really have something to say.
If they really have something to say, exactly.
Yeah.
I would say it's not bad.
Okay, if
It's not bad, but we might not understand it. Yeah, it's not bad, but we, at that point, as parents, I'm just very realistic here. You might not understand. You're talking back. I'm disciplining you, and you're talking back. It might not be physical discipline because I'm talking from the perspective of physical discipline. But maybe I'm correcting you about something, and you are trying to oh, it didn't happen that way. This is not what I did. But the expectation is the child should wait for you to finish correcting before you talk. Well, I will still go back to it depends on your family culture as well. If the child knows that, okay, my mom would not take this, then the child should know better not to talk while you're correcting. But if the child knows and is
still
intentionally trying to okay, I have to make my point known, then you would actually know. You would know as parents. But it's not bad for the child to talk back. Maybe not talking back.
Exactly, because that's what I think
to express.
There is talking back, there is being
back.
disrespectful, there is responding, and then there is the circumstances that surrounds that conversation.
Yeah,
now mommy is upset, daddy is angry. They are very angry and they are trying to correct you for something they perceived was wrong. And that's when you now think you cannot be saying, okay, there was an incident that happened one day. Milk, let's use milk. It was spilled in error. I wasn't there, I didn't see it. And as soon as I saw it, I turned, I wanted to react. And it's a mistake.
That's not talking back.
No, but the one of, you did not, why should I wash the plate? What do you think? I washed the plate yesterday. Why am I going to wash the plate today? That's talking back.
Not really. If the child feels like it's been picked on.
When
I tell you to go wash your plates, to go wash the dishes, go do the dishes, and you're telling me you're not doing the dishes because you did it yesterday.
Maybe the child just feels like they've been picked on.
No, but I could yesterday for you to
you can actually explain to the child, like, okay, I understand
it's
you.
The tone.
It's the tone. Thank you. I understand you, but this is the reason why I'm asking you to do this. As adults, I'll give you that reason. But I might not do it, but it's just coming to me it's just coming to me to like, okay, understand the child's point. Like, okay, maybe this is her level of understanding. Okay, let me make it known to you why you have to do it. So the child needs to know why.
You won't bring yourself. Okay, maybe like I said, it's having control of your emotions.
Yeah.
Because in the heat of the moment, you are not thinking of explaining to a child that this is why you need to do it. Let's keep it real.
Exactly.
You're a guy.
It goes to
yes, you maybe right? You can, but for women, at that point in time, we agitated. So
for me, it goes back to that particular point in time, and it really I've rechanneled.
Yeah,
my parents
you know that I actually had an incident. Now that we're talking about it, I had something similar happened to me, and when they were talking about it now, and I'm trying to imagine when I always let my kids talk. I always let them explain themselves before I take action. And this is why it happened with my older son. I'd spanked him for something. So I misinterpreted. I think maybe I thought he peed on his clothes and he didn't pee, and I'd spanked him before I realized he actually got sprayed with water.
Spank first, ask question later.
And I felt terrible. I felt terrible because, and he gets agitated very easily. So he wasn't talking quick enough for me. And I'm like, at your age, how can you, and then afterwards, you're not sleeping now. How can I access that? No, it's a different thing if you were not where a bathroom is and you can go. No, because I realized that before then he used to hold it because he wants to play. And then he's not rushing, and then
such accidents when
you're not at a place where someone is in the bathroom. That's not.
As a child that doesn't like using public Wi-Fi.
We had talked about that several times, and it was just like 5, I think, at the time. But apparently I'd gone outside and sprayed him with water, and I thought I'd beaten him, and I felt really bad. I apologized to him profusely, and because of that, I made a mental note that I would always let them explain themselves. Now, if your explanation is not good enough, you're still getting the punishment. But
for me, the time for you to explain my mind, I would have gone down.
And your tone and choice of words will tell me whether it's an explanation or
you're being rude.
Again, it comes to, we are the parents, we should have the detectors and the radars going off. We should be able to identify if there's a malicious intent, behind them talking back, responding. Sometimes, I'll send my youngest son to go and do something, and he'll hit me with, I'm always doing this one.
Why are you always calling me?
You never call me. Guess what? Because remember when he did this, when he did this. Okay. And then sometimes I tell my oldest to go and do something. Like, I'm always doing this, I'm always doing that. But look, firstborn doesn't mean you only get the big orange juice.
You get more responsibility.
I don't think that's talking back, though.
Exactly.
I think that's them expressing themselves. Like,
it's the tone and the attitude.
Actually, there have been times where there have been attitude. I've never detected malicious intent, but I've detected attitude. But I'm like, you know what? I get it. It's coming from a place of frustration, right? Yeah. So let me pause.
Yes, no.
And sometimes it's like, you know what? Shut up. Just
I'm going to do it.
So what I think, but one thing I think is really important is anytime something happens and you are not there as a parent, always ask your child what happened. I don't care if it's in
especially
school.
When it's school or some outside the information is coming in. Don't be quick to pounce on your child.
Always.
Or you know when you hear the younger one that is shouting from upstairs and then you run downstairs and you say you meanwhile your mom has overstepped boundaries and his mouth that
they're supposed to understand it.
Always ask what happened. So give up your final thoughts.
Okay, so quick one.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, this has been interesting though, and I learned some things too. Okay, so discipline abuse. As parents, we need to be intentional about our intents when you are disciplining your child. And kids actually know, because they know, they see the disappointment in you when you discipline them, so they understand. But your approach should be watched. You should be intentional about that intent. What's the reason? What's the goal? What's the end result of this discipline? Which is you teaching your child. Whatever you're doing to the child, I'm trying to teach you something. I'm trying to correct you from doing things wrong. And also, I'll go to the steps of discipline. Let's always, as parents, meet our kids at their level. Understand your child. Understand that every child is different. And understand that you should be a role model. Be consistent, right? Did I say that right? Follow through with whatever instructions you give, and make sure you are acting what you're teaching. Yeah. Do as I do. Be great role models. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Be a role model. Understand your child. Meet your child at the levels. Give them choices and let them know the consequences of their choices. All right, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, she has said it all.
Okay.
She has said it all, but the only thing I would just add to it is let's be conscious of our emotions, be in control of our emotions. I'm going to talk to women especially, because I know how our progesterone, testosterone, all those hormones.
We don't have
and then especially when you come home and you're thinking of the things you need to do, and then you're screaming at one person, come downstairs and come do this, and then he's not coming downstairs. The child did not do anything at that point in time, but because the child was slow and you're frustrated already, you're like so I think, yes, for women especially, we need to be in tune with our emotions, and we need to know when those emotions are spilling over. Now, I said something jokingly during the show. I said take it out on the husband. Even to take it out on the husband is not, it doesn't end well most of the time. So I think it's good if we can just be more conscious of our emotions. And like Shola said, if we show more, we'll end up talking less.
Absolutely.
If we show more, we end up talking less. But because most of the times we talk and we don't do, we don't show. So our children will only do what they see us do. That can never be overemphasized. Someone will wake up and say, my children is scattered. You are scattered. Oh, my children is disrespectful. Like the example I gave, this 4-year-old came to the office and I said, greet. You can say, well, my mom doesn't. So obviously the mom doesn't. She doesn't come to the office and greets. So the 4-year-old does not know you're supposed to greet. It's simple, it's basic, but those are the things that children see, and that's what they pick on. So that cannot be overemphasized. If we want to build women, young humans that are well-cultured, well-mannered, who are you as a parent? Who are you as a parent? Do you take nonsense or not? If I'm like a no-nonsense person and you expect your child to be taking nonsense, no. So let's stand in front of the mirror, take a look at ourselves before we take out all these things on our kids. I can relate a bit with what Akin said about us being abused or our parents parenting from a point of ignorance. But like I said, I wasn't brought up in a conventional way. I sit down and have conversation with my own dad. My dad will tell you if I do something wrong, tell me. I will tell you, pull you into a hug and apologize, which was strange in our neighborhood then. In fact, they said my mom did just what they say for. Yes, but my dad was like that. And so I know conversation is very important between parents. Build it up at a very young age. Not when they are old. He doesn't talk to me. He's always in his room. When he was 4, what were you doing?
You sent him to his room.
You sent him to his room. You sent him to his room. So it's the bulk of it. Like he said, we're adults. We should be the adults, act the adults, and talk the adults. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I'm supposed to say something after all that I said. I was scared. No, but
Got it.
jokes apart, these lovely ladies have said it all. I don't think there's anything for me to add except to just encourage parents. For the well-meaning ones, we tend to be our own worst critics.
Yeah.
Because we tend to just look around and be like, what am I doing wrong? You know, this person's child, that person's child.
Don't compare.
Meanwhile, they're also looking at you and they're thinking, you know, what am I doing wrong? So be encouraged. You're doing the best you can, and it's a learning process. It's like Akin said, don't parent from a place of ignorance. If you feel like there's something I'm not getting right, then seek knowledge, seek understanding, educate yourself, and, you know, put the work in. I don't want to say, I mean, this is just adding to everything else they have said, you know, just educate yourself. And
I'm sorry, I just want to chip in something. We are not saying we are pros. Yes, we are not saying we are not saying we are right with what we are saying.
Exactly.
But when you talk about you know, talking. I just remember myself and praise. You know, you are not a no-nonsense person.
Yes.
Okay, I praise. It would not take.
Exactly.
I'm like,
So,
okay,
so,
me.
we are not saying we are 100% sure of what we are saying. Like I usually say, we are all a work in progress. In progress.
Yeah,
in progress.
Yeah.
In progress. So all parents you see here, they are still doing trial and error. That's what I tell people.
Exactly.
We hope and pray that the trial comes out correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, so nobody is a pro on parenting yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you done, sir?
I mean, that's about it. Just be encouraged. You're doing a great job.
Yes.
You are. Be your own assessor. And it's. I don't think it's ever too late to adjust things.
Never.
It's never too late. So if you see,
So
maybe from what we have said, you have seen some areas you feel like, oh, I could try to do better. Then.
And if you disagree.
And if you disagree, exactly like I said, it's an opinion. We're not experts on parenting, and
Is everybody's views can
I think you'd have to see your children's children do well to actually pat yourself on the back and say,
No, you can actually still do that now. Though the one you are doing, tell yourself I'm doing well.
No, I'm saying that's why you can say I'm an expert on parenting.
Even those ones won't even say they are experts.
Exactly. So just be encouraged. You're doing the best you can, and with grace, with grace of God, we'll get to say the right things and do the right things with our children.
30 seconds.
Yes, 30 seconds. Okay, so we mentioned this in passing about understanding your child's learning style. That's very important. Please, I'm still trying to understand my children's learning style. I'm just trying to throw it out there. Please take time to understand your child's learning style. They're different. Some children learn through visuals, some hands-on.
Yeah, repetitive hands-on. Yeah.
Some, you know, what you
Audio,
say, verbal, audio,
Repetition.
please. And that would actually help us to discipline them in the right way,
with them.
you know.
Yeah.
All right, so just to wrap up, my own comments, very simple. I'm blessed with 3 kids, and funny enough, I either see myself or my wife
In them.
in them. So
Most
again,
times though.
they're not strangers. So that behavior that you don't like,
Check yourself.
is it out from your wife, or from you, or even potentially grandparents? So that's a good
in my
starting
case,
point, right? Exactly.
auntie.
It's all in the genes. So that's one thing too. There's no child from under the banana, but someone not get there. So it's
Except you need to do DNA. Maybe you need to do DNA.
Maybe the swap it that
That's a strange behaviors.
Another topic. But I want to end on this note, and it's the note of that common saying that is actually not really biblical, which is spare the rod and spoil the child. I believe I gave a presentation about this a few months ago about the rod, and the rod really comes from the shepherd. And what the shepherd used the rod for actually falls under the 3 disciplines that we've talked about, which is the preventative, the supportive, and then the corrective, right? So the rod is usually used to guide or to support when there's weakness. Occasionally,
Nigerian parents.
corrected, where the shepherd unless you're Fulani Edgeman, where the shepherd will use the rod to correct, which is to strike. But that is usually occasionally.
But that's because they're leading sheep and not goats.
Abby.
I've never seen a goat.
True though, because the goat doesn't.
I agree
The sheep will follow. It's just one that is going though.
So
that's a good point though. Goats, because when you spank goats, they will come back
going
and do the same thing. So
that's like saying goat.
Exactly. So
Good talk.
whatever you do, keep God first.
That's right.
And I hope you've enjoyed watching us today. And if you feel like going back, you missed any topic, feel free to connect on YouTube. Again, the topic is discipline or abuse, our childhood experience.
And if you have a topic you want us to talk about,
On that note, she's trying to get out of it. The next viewpoint will be our topic.
so please bring topics to me. I'm happy
It's
to.
gonna be the next
Bringing
one.
up our own topic.
Yes, I'm happy to.
I think that should
talk
be the
about
last Saturday of this month, though. But Glimpse Extra, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Oh no, it's not
I
going to be
wanted
because
to read this Bible verse, so it just kept coming.
Okay.
You can read it.
Holy
Proverbs 13:24.
24.
So Proverbs 13:24. Again, I know we've talked about spare the rod and spoil the child, and it says, "Those who love their children care enough to discipline them." You never say anything about physically striking them. Discipline them. So,
Oh my gosh.
if you love your child, yes, you will discipline your child. But keep in mind, discipline does not equate to physically striking your kid. So again, we've talked about preventative, supportive, and then corrective. And they go in that order. So again, those are things you can read up on. With that said, I'm your host for today, Akin. Thanks for having us.
Good job.
Thank you.
our hosts with the mostest.
Host with the
Good
most.
All right, that's our show for today. And we'll see you next time. Adios.
Arrivederci.